Today on Nintendomain, we'll try to figure out the popularity of Kirby's Air Ride.
And we'll teach you how to baby bird your copy friends.
Kirby, 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 that's the name you should know. Kirby, 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 he's the star of the show. He's more than you think, he's got maximum pink. Kirby, Kirby, Kirby's the one. He comes to ride, back at ya. He comes to ride, back at ya. Give it all that you got, take your very best shot. Cause then you ride back at you for sure. Yeah.
How can I help you, King DDD?
I need a monster to claw with that there Kirby.
That's what we do best at NME.
You better get it with a money-back guarantee.
Welcome to Nintendomain. This is episode 28. We are your hosts, Trey Johnson Hand.
Hey, how's it going? It's me, Jereme and Trey.
What's going on, man?
Just playing my new Nintendo 64. Well, new to me.
Yeah.
But, that's what I've been doing.
You got another one?
I'm pretty stoked, yeah. I haven't had a 64 for several years. I have a lot of games, so I bought one off of my coworker for a very reasonable price. I load up all my games, and they all work except for Mario Kart.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's the one that doesn't work, but I've got a lot of other good games that work great.
Well, you can get that on Virtual Console for Wii, not Wii U ever though, which is weird. They never put it on there.
I do have it on my Wii Virtual Console. So
yeah, I think that was another one that was stolen for being college was Mario Kart 64, because I lost that one as well.
Yeah, but mine just doesn't work. I might need to open it up and clean it. But
yeah,
all the other ones worked pretty quick, so I think something's probably pretty wrong with it.
Sure. Yeah, I ended up just getting the Virtual Console version on Wii, which they actually kind of tweaked that one a little bit and made it look a little bit nicer. I think they even added some new stuff in it. It was either that. Well, I know Wave Race for sure. They stuck ads for like Wii and DS in there, where there were ads for like 64 and Game Boy in the old one. Like they actually changed some of the ads in the background. And I think they might have got. I don't know if they did that for Mario Kart 64 also, but I know they cleaned it up a little bit and made it look better.
Well, I've got that version, so that's the only one I can play. But I never really paid attention to the signs. I don't know if they're different. I'd have to load it up, check it out.
Yeah, I don't know if they're different on Mario Kart, but I thought it was really cool that they were different on Wave Race. That they changed them to more like to stuff that was out now. That they change the advertisements. I
did load up Banjo Kazooie, and that was kind of funny because, well, for me personally, because I've been playing it a lot on the Xbox 360. You can download it. I think I've talked about that before.
Yeah, and that's the same version that's on Rare Replay, right? On Xbox One?
Yeah, it's the same version.
And it's like sort of an HD version?
Yeah, it's just funny on the N64 version because there's so many more Nintendo references in the at the beginning. Like, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. The tribal dude, the witch doctor guy.
Mumbo Jumbo?
Yeah, Mumbo Jumbo. He's playing like a keyboard or a xylophone that says Nintendo on it. You know, it's like a Nintendo xylophone. And
what does it say?
It's a lot of little things like that.
What does it say?
What does what say?
No, I was just going to say, what does it say on the 360 version? Does it say Microsoft on his keyboard, on his xylophone at the beginning?
I don't know. It definitely doesn't say Nintendo.
I know, I figured. I was just wondering how they altered it.
Anything.
Yeah, maybe they just cut it.
But of course, you know, we all remember the beginning where the N walks across the screen as like kind of an animal thing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's definitely not there in the Xbox version.
It could be an X. It could be a 3DX. That'd be funny. So, yeah, I always thought about trying to play that game again, but I haven't yet, the Banjo Kazooie, now that I have a 64 working. Actually, do you need an expansion pack for that? Because I don't have an expansion pack on my 64 yet. You don't need that for Banjo, right? You just need it for Conker?
No.
Or do you even need it for Conker? I know you need it for Donkey Kong.
I'm fairly certain you need it for Conker. It may just be for certain modes. You don't need it for Banjo Kazooie because that game came out the same year as Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah.
So just before the expansion pack. Yeah, it was 98.
Oh, yeah, but it came out in the summer of 98, I think.
Yeah.
It was, because I played it at my mom's house, I remember. Like right after, right when high school was ending, or right before high school was over. That's what I remember. And then, so that must have been pre, because I played Ocarina of Time at the Lincoln, at the college.
Yeah, it was a summer game.
Yeah. I thought about trying that one again. I don't know. People seem to have mixed feelings on whether Banjo's aged well or not. We could always do a rare episode and get into something like that in the future.
Well, I will say that I think it has aged well. It is a collectathon, but all of the collections kind of make sense. Nothing's too like left field or random. If you properly explore the level, every nook and cranny, you'll find all the stuff.
Oh yeah.
And if you use all your abilities and stuff, you'll get it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Banjo Kazooie, we might as well just jump to it. Did you watch the ukulele trailer that came out this week?
I did.
Did you see? There's like a couple. I guess there's a couple references to Banjo Kazooie and like rare games in general in the trailer that I saw.
Itself is a reference to Banjo Kazooie.
It is. There's some stuff from other games that are in there. I didn't write all of it down, but it looks pretty cool. I mean, there's a game that we know that'll be on Wii U that was unveiled. But yeah, it looks very similar.
It's very pretty. It looks like it's just going to be like, they've intentionally said this is going to be a collection game, so it'll be the same spirit of Banjo Kazooie.
Oh yeah. At the very end of the trailer, when they do that like after credits sort of thing, where they're like hanging out on the beach chairs, one of their drinks has a jiggy in it. I don't know if you saw that. That's one thing I remember. Has a jigsaw piece in it, like stuck to the side, like a lime slice. I thought that was cool. There's a little bit of Banjo Kazooie in there, aside from of course the whole game, but yeah, there's just a little reference to the jiggies.
No, I didn't see that.
It's like in the background on the wall. If you're not looking for it, I don't think you see it.
I think I do want to play that game. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
it's right up my alley. I love adventure games, and I love like cartoony games.
I like 3D platformers, and they're kind of dead right now. They're all but extinct. So it's nice to see more of them. They kind of went out. There's for a while there that I thought that they'd do some sort of, renaissance of them, because I figured people were tired of playing first-person shooters all the time. But it never really happened. But it seemed like the right time for it, for a while there when there just wasn't anything like that. And there still really isn't anything like that. But hopefully ukulele will do well, and then they can, that'll open a door for others. If others come along.
I do like that they're unashamedly saying it's a collecting game, because back in the day collecting things was kind of, it was but it was kind of a way to inflate the length of the game, so you'd play it longer. But this game is just saying that's what this is, So I don't know if that means it's going to be necessary to collect everything. In Banjo Kazooie, it kind of is.
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, you need the Jinjos. What were they called? Do you remember what those creatures were called that save you in the end?
Yep.
Jinjos? Yeah.
You want to get all those, and then all the jiggies, which are the jigsaw pieces.
You get to get jiggy with it. Did you ever play Banjo Tooie? Do you have that one?
I still haven't played Banjo Tooie.
Yeah. Do you have it?
No, I've been waiting to play it when I can properly play it with stop and swap. So I have to beat it on an Xbox 360 and then download it. Then download Tooie, play it that way.
Oh, well,
so I have to beat it on the 360 first, because it's the only version besides Rare Replay where you play that mode. You can't do it on the 64.
Oh, I thought you could.
No.
What, will you swap the cartridges? I thought you could do that on the original one. I mean, I've never played Banjo Tooie, so I don't know, but I thought that it did have
they took it out. There's some stuff you can do with a Game Shark to kind of make it work. But yeah, the big end put the nix on yanking cartridges out while the power's on. Like, they weren't cool with that, so that's why it didn't happen.
It's not good for the system. That's probably why. It's a horrible idea. It's like ejecting discs like while the game's playing. It's not good. But I think
probably would have been fine.
I think with cartridges it probably works. It's not. It's definitely worse than ejecting discs, but still.
I've read that you can do a thing where you pull the cartridge up at an angle, and somehow that triggers the stop and swap. But I've never really tried it, and I don't have a copy of Tooie. So if I have Banjo Tooie on the N64, I'll try. I do have one on 64, and I can play it now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of rare, Banjo Tooie. I don't know what the prices are. If it was cheaper, I probably would have got one by now. No pun intended. Yeah, no pun intended. It's the rarest. I don't know how anything. It was
a late release. I think it was 2000 or 2001.
Was it?
It was a late N64 release, so that's probably why it's rare. It'd be like Zoda's Revenge.
It wasn't later. It wasn't later than Conquer, though, was it? I thought Conquer was like was pretty much the last game for 64.
You're right. I think Tooie came before that. And Conquer was 2000?
Could be. I mean, yeah, probably, right? Yeah, it'd have to be, because GameCube was 2001.
Let's see. Majora's Mask was also 2000.
Yeah, Majora's Mask was 2000 for sure.
Okay, so maybe Tooie was 99. I could look it up, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah. We'll save that for our Banjo Kazooie episode if we ever get to that. Have you played anything else? I mean, aside from you got the 64. Have you gotten anything else or played anything else this week?
Yeah, I was hanging out with some friends last week, and they introduced me to the Raspberry Pi, which I've read a lot about, but I've been sort of intimidated by all the stuff you have to do to get it to work.
What is it? Like,
all right, well, Raspberry Pi it's not a console. A Raspberry Pi is a single board computer that was originally designed, I think in Europe, England maybe. It was originally designed as a teaching tool for to teach kids how to learn how to program computers. And it became popular enough beyond that because people were using it to do other things that they made it commercially available. And it's only $35. It's cheap. And you buy it and then, it's the best way I can describe it. It's like the inside of a cell phone or a smartphone. So you're just buying that. It doesn't have a screen or anything, but it has USB ports and it has an HDMI port. It has built-in Wi-Fi and built-in Bluetooth. It has an SD card slot, or a micro SD card slot, that it loads everything off of like an operating system. You have to put an operating system on the SD card for it to even turn on.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of, it's not, I would say, since I was able to do it, I think a newbie could make it work, but you just have to kind of be dedicated to the process and look at some YouTube videos and download 4 or 5 different programs, depending if you're using a Mac or a Windows computer.
Yeah, it sounds kind of complicated, but I'm sure you can figure it out. It's kind
of complicated, but there's a lot of YouTube videos that show you what you need. So you buy the computer board, and you end up needing to buy a lot of things to get it going. You need to buy a power supply that's a certain amp, which I don't really understand, but it has to be that for it to work. And then you use an HDMI cable, and you have to have USB controller of some form. I've got a Super Nintendo, generic Super Nintendo USB controller I use. And you have to be able to plug in a keyboard and a mouse through the USB port. So it's kind of complicated, but it's really not if you watch a few YouTube videos. But I was able to get this up and running after seeing people run some emulators on it at this when I was hanging out with my friends last week. So I'd say I've put about $85 into it, and I can run any NES game, any Super Nintendo or Genesis. I was getting some Game Boy Advance games to work today, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you just plug it right into your TV, so that's your monitor.
Sure.
You can do a lot of other things with the Raspberry Pi. You can actually use it as a full-fledged computer if you want, with word processors, and internet browser, and all that stuff. I was mainly just interested in seeing if I could get the emulator running, and it took a little while. It took me 2 or 3 days of messing around with it, but I got it working finally.
Sure.
It's really cool because you can do save states and everything. So I was playing a little bit of Adventure of Link today because I think you need save states to enjoy that game nowadays.
Yeah, I have it. I have it on Wii U. I don't know. I'm not very good at it. I don't think I've gotten much farther than maybe the second part of it. I don't even remember.
And non-Nintendo, but I was able to play some Sega games on it. That's pretty fun.
Oh, sure. There were some really cool games that they released for Virtual Console on the Wii from Sega. I played Phantasy Star 4, which I thought was really cool. And I never really understood why they never released a CD that had all the Phantasy Star games on it. They do these Sonic collections and other Sega collections, but no Phantasy Star collections. Because that would be something I would be interested in getting if they would ever do that.
Maybe it's too niche.
Even if it was just a re-release. What, RPGs? I thought people still liked those. Like Japanese RPGs. I find that more interesting than playing the millionth release of Echo the Dolphin or whatever.
Yeah.
They have some 3D. I bought. I guess there's a sale going on right now for Sega games on the 3D ones on 3DS, and I bought Streets of Rage 2. The 3D version. Just because Streets of Rage 2 is awesome, but I don't understand why they can't be a 3D version of Phantasy Star. I understand it's a bigger game and it would take longer, but it'd be nice to be able to get that for a couple bucks too, along with the other stuff instead of Space Harrier or Afterburner or whatever. I just wish they had ones that had a little more depth to them.
Maybe it's a licensing thing.
I thought they owned that property. I thought they made it. I thought they made the Phantasy Star games.
They've put them on some collections, so they probably
have they. Because I've looked and I don't remember actually seeing.
If you get on Steam, they've got a lot of Sega collections you can download.
Well, I know that, and there's ones on PS3 too, but I don't remember any of them having Phantasy Star games on them.
I'm pretty sure I have some Phantasy Star on my Steam account.
Oh, okay. Maybe on the Steam one, but from the ones I saw for consoles, they always were devoid of those games. They just seemed to have everything else, but I may be mistaken. I don't know if there would have been one, I would have bought it, unless I just missed it. But I don't really use Steam, so I don't know what's on there.
Well, needless to say, all those games are on online if you want to download the ROMs, which, the ethical thing is to say you should own the game if you download the ROM. You can find it, and it'll run on the Raspberry Pi, which I'm using it's called the RetroPie operating system, and you can download that for free off their site, retropie.com. And pretty much you just have to figure out how to properly install that on your SD card, which, whether you have an Apple or a Windows computer, it's a Linux file, so you have to use different software to get it to install correctly. Oh, sure. But once you get that installed onto the SD card, that is your operating system, so you don't have to have anything else. You just put ROMs onto it, and it works.
Sure thing. Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of complicated, but I'm sure if you looked it up, you could figure it out.
I think most people could work through it in a day or two, just like watching YouTube videos, making sure you have all of the stuff, because I didn't have everything and I had to buy a couple of extra things.
Yeah, the whole using Linux for it, I feel would be where it would get complicated for me.
But it's really not, because you just download programs on your computer that do it for you.
Oh yeah, I thought you had to figure out a way for your computer to run Linux for it to.
No, it's just that the files that's the kind of files they are. So you have to use a different kind of software to write them, because your computer doesn't natively understand what those files mean.
Sure.
So pretty much you're downloading programs that translate it and allow you to translate it to the SD card. It's kind of how I would explain it. I don't know if that's the right explanation, but that's how I understand it.
Sure. No, I understand. Well, that's cool.
It's been a lot of fun part. I mean, half of the fun in that is just getting it to work. So once it works, there's a good feeling. Holy shit, I did this. Like, I got this shit working. So that's just that feeling in it by itself. I would recommend people playing around with the Raspberry Pi, because it's really daunting at first, but once you sort of figure out the quirks of it, it's really easy.
Sure.
Okay, so I found on my Steam account, I've got Shining Force 1 and 2. You were talking about Shining Force, right? Or no, you were talking about Fantasy Star.
Fantasy Star. Shining Force is the Fire Emblem type game.
I think that I was confused. So no, I don't have Fantasy Star.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that it wasn't on any of the collections.
You're probably,
because I would buy a whole collection just to play those games.
I played a very small amount of the one on GameCube, but couldn't get into
Fantasy Star Online.
Yeah.
No, I didn't play that, but I always kind of wanted to buy the modem to play that. But that's completely different. I just want to play like the 8-bit and 16-bit. Because there's a Fantasy Star 1 was on Master System, and the 2, 3, and 4 were on Sega Genesis. And I think all I've played is 4, because that was the one that was rated the highest. But it was good. I liked it a lot. It was shorter than most RPGs, but I enjoyed it.
So is it true that you beat Dragon Quest 2?
I did beat Dragon Quest 2. I beat it last night, finally. And now I finally get to play Dragon Quest 3, which is cool. I ordered that one a couple weeks ago. I think I said I hadn't started it yet until I beat the second one, but that one's cool. That's the first time they introduced class systems into the Dragon Quest series. So
which one is?
You get a little more freedom.
Is that on NES or on the Game Boy?
The first 4 games were on NES, but I'm playing the re-releases of them on Game Boy.
That's what I was asking. So it's a Game Boy Color cartridge?
Yeah, it's a Game Boy Color cartridge. One of the see-through ones. And it looks really nice. It's about as close as you'll get to Super Nintendo on Game Boy Color is what they're trying to do.
Are you playing it on your Advance or on the... Oh, you don't have a Super... You're playing it on the player, right?
Yeah, I'm playing on the... I'm playing it a little bit of both. I'm playing it on the GBASP and the GameCube Game Boy player. I kind of alternate from one to another, depending on what time it is or however I want to play it. It looks best on the Game Boy player on the TV. But it has some really cool animations, like the bad guys actually move in this one, so they actually have animations they do when they attack you, which is really cool. And it just it looks really nice. Like the textures look really nice for the artwork on it. And there's some parts where it actually looks like a Super Nintendo game. Like I thought some of the parts at the beginning really looked like some of the towns looked really good, like the way the water moves and like the way the cliffs look and shadows and stuff like that. It really pushed the boundaries of the Game Boy Color back in 2001 when it came out. Well, that was like the end of Game Boy Color, right?
Yeah, because 2001 is when the Game Boy Advance came.
Yeah, because the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 came out in 2000, and Dragon Quest 3 came out in 2001 for the Game Boy. So And I also have an unopened copy of Dragon Quest IV that's waiting on DS that I'm waiting to play after I finish 3. And I'm hoping for, as a segue into our news, I'm still hoping for that. I'm hoping for the announcement of the release date of Dragon Quest VII at the E3 in a couple days, because apparently they're going to show that.
Yeah, they'll tell us when.
They're supposed to show it during the Treehouse, and I thought there was supposed to be some sort of event tomorrow on the 11th. If there is, we'll do some sort of update about it. But I thought they were going to do some Pokemon Sun and Moon stuff tomorrow. Is what I heard.
Oh wow!
But I don't know. I mean, that's what I remember hearing on, I think, on NBC or some other place. And I tried to finish Star Tropics 2 also, which that's pretty difficult. It has like this incredibly stupid end part, which I wished I would have talked about, but I didn't. Because at the end of the game, they basically make you fight like. Would you make you go through a boss rush and play the final boss after that, and it's really fun. It's pretty awful. So
I'm pretty far into the 6th chapter, and it's really hard.
Of the second one or the first one?
But I'm trying to beat it.
Of the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Oh,
I'm still on the first one.
Yeah, I don't think the first one's that bad. I mean, compared to the other one, but
probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on that dungeon where you I guess it's kind of like would it be tribal? Like you're like. All the statues are all around, and then there's the weird totem guys you have to fight.
Oh, yeah.
There's a room where I have to fight like 2 of those guys at once, and I can't get past that part. It's really hard.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember the totem guys. I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't.
They're the ones that they shoot out 4 bullets every time they move. They change direction.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember.
I mean, they've got a pattern to them, but
yeah.
I think they're tough.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything's pretty tough in that game. You just gotta like I said in the thing, play it like the PC game.
Oh, I save state all the time.
Like go in a room, save. If you fuck up that room, go back to the beginning of the room again. Try it again. That's basically how I had to get through pretty much most of the game. Yeah, was just like saving every room when you get there, and then go back to that if you lost too much life, and then start over again. That's how I had to do it. But it makes it a lot quicker like that.
Well, I'm making progress.
Yeah, and there's there's a lot of secrets in there that if you find those, it makes it easier. Like always be on the lookout for jars of potion and all that because they're all over the place.
I've been playing it.
In the second one at the end, there's like this crazy maze that you go through with all these conveyor belts, and I think there's there's this maze of conveyor belts, and you can get at least like 10 potions, if not more, before you go into like the 6 boss rush thing or whatever. How many it is? You play all the main bosses, so I think there's like 6 or 7. But if you navigate it right, you can get a shitload of potions. Is the idea, and I went through it where I ended up with 8 at the end and saved there.
Oh wow!
But it's still hard because the potion only gives you like 6 hearts maybe.
Wow, you played it way better than me.
So
I didn't think you could save your potions because they reset after every dungeon.
They do reset after every dungeon, but in this one,
so you can just get a lot in that one.
In this one, there's like 10 potions like in this maze maze of conveyor belts. You can get 10 bottles of potion like all at once to take into this fight, into the boss fight.
That's insane.
Yeah, and you can save anything from the beginning of the like I would do it like if there's whatever potions you have, like try to take it all the way to the boss because you lose all your stuff when you leave the dungeon, but you keep it all the way through. But yeah, this one just has like this maze with all these hearts and potions because you're gonna have to fight this insane amount of bosses. In the next part, that's kind of unfair, but I don't know. At least you're a little bit stronger, but still, yeah, you got to basically go through like all of those, all the bosses, all over again, which is really annoying. There's this incredibly hard boss called the Knight Rider that at least you don't have to fight him. I thought he was the worst. You have to fight him on a conveyor belt. It's really annoying. You're like on a conveyor. Yeah, he's called the Knight Rider, and he's like this. He's basically this knight. And you're in like this room, and you're on.
Does he have a talking car?
No, but it's like a constantly moving conveyor belt, and yeah, and you basically have to jump around and try to hit him while you're on this conveyor belt. It's really annoying. It's hard to explain it, I guess, without you actually playing it. But it's probably it's probably the worst boss on that whole game, I think. And I haven't even played the final boss of the second one.
Jesus. Well, I think getting all the way through it, even with save states, I'll feel good about myself.
Yeah. I don't think it's all that hard. I mean, I beat the first one somehow without save states, so, I mean... Yeah,
I don't know how you did it, man. I really don't.
I could have never done it. I could have never done the second one without save states, though, because that was just stupid. Like, that Knight Rider part is just stupid. Like, there's no way I could have done that without save states. It's annoying. But yeah, that's what we missed on that, I think. But yeah, aside from that, was there any other news that we missed? That we haven't got into? There was only like a couple things. Like there's some new Zelda artwork that was released with him on the horse. There's this whole, discussion about it being a girl, possibly because his hair's longer. I still don't think it looks like a girl. I still think it looks like a guy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it just has long hair.
Yeah, and he's wearing he's wearing a different outfit. The past few Zelda games, he's always had a different outfit at the beginning, like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess as well, right? He had his weird sumo thing that he was wearing at the beginning of that.
His big old butt.
Yeah. Yeah, with his big old butt. So that's I don't remember, like, it's been such a long time since I played Skyward Sword, but I'm sure he had a different outfit in that too before he wore the garb. So that seems to be a regular thing. I don't think it's anything different, but I can't wait to see it. I mean, I thought we might see something tomorrow of it, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe I'm confused because I thought that they were going to show something during that event where everybody's lining up to play it, like for the 500 people, which I'm sure are lined up right now. Maybe, I don't know. I heard
so
you can't.
When exactly is this event happening? It's this Tuesday, right?
Yeah, the Treehouse event. But I thought there was something on the 11th also. Like I thought that there was like some sort of digital thing tomorrow. Is what I heard, but I'm not sure. I mean, we'll have to see. If there is something, we'll do a little update at the end for it.
I guess I was under the impression some on the 12th and 13th. I didn't know there was some on the 11th.
Well, I think that E3 like starts on the 14th. The Nintendo thing starts on the 14th. It goes through that week.
Oh,
That's what I was told. At least through the 16th, because that's when they're actually doing their Treehouse event. Is the 14th. So, but I was under the impression that there was some stuff for the 11th too. I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's this game called Riverside. Did you see that? That had a little thing on it. I watched the trailer for it. There's a little trailer for it. It's this nice looking game where it looks like it's made out of paper. There's like some flat like lake effects in there or whatever. But at the end it says coming soon for Oculus Rift and Nintendo NX. Which made everybody think that it was a VR game and that NX is going to have VR. So that was like another rumor thing. People thinking that NX is going to have VR capability. Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but I want to see it.
Look it up. It looks cool, and it says NX on it, which is weird because that's like not even the actual name of the system. But
is it a fully
whatever.
3D game?
It looks. I mean, it's just basically what it shows is like this pretty area that looks like it's like made and painted, like it was created. Like this paper land, but there's no actual gameplay. It just shows like river. It just says like Riverside. It shows all these graphics, and then it says Oculus Rift and NX, which people thought with the grouping with Oculus Rift that it's a VR game. I don't know if it is or not, but it looks cool. Maybe it could run on both. Maybe it can not run on a VR thing and run on a VR thing. I don't know.
I think that's an important point. Like, it's possible it's just a 3D game that will also be on the Oculus.
Yeah, that was interesting. We talked about the Zelda artwork a little bit. People talking about the female Link. There's an eShop sale for like the 5-year anniversary. There's like a handful of games that are half off. I think I own all of them. Like pretty much every time they do that, it's like ones you've already owned. I think it's like
that sale just start today.
I think it just started like yesterday, right? Yeah, because it wasn't on there. I think it dropped when Wario Master of Disguise dropped. I don't know why they put that game on there, but they did.
There's so many more Wario games than I realized. I just keep more and more of them.
I mean, well, they've already released like Wario Land 4, right? They released 2 and 3. Those are on 3DS, right? I know. I have 2. I don't know if 3 ever made it out. But speaking of Wario games or WarioWare games, like they could easily put Shake It on there. That one that was like all beautifully hand drawn, from the Wii. That could have been a Virtual Console thing. It's another thing that apparently Europe has that we don't have. So. They could have released that instead of Masters of Disguise, but I don't know. Maybe there's one person that bought that game and liked that game. I just remember it being like a flash in the pan. Like it got reviewed not very well, and then nobody really played it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot it existed.
But that's what I have right now for the news. Do you want to take a quick break and then we'll get to our topic of the week?
Sounds good, man.
All right. So, in order to celebrate the release of Kirby Planet Robobot, which came out today, which looks cool.
Robobot
looks cool. I I haven't gotten it yet, but it's been reviewed pretty well. Like people seem to like it. Looks neat. I don't know. I'm kind of in a little bit of a budgetary strain for the month, so I'm kind of trying to save up for Tokyo Mirage Sessions that comes out at the end of the month. So I may not be getting a Robobot until later, but because it's releasing, we decided to do a Kirby episode, and because it would probably take us like 5 hours to go through all of the Kirby releases, we decided to do something similar to what we did for our obscure NES episode, and just pick a couple games ourselves each and just talk about them. Starting off with...
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kirby's Dream Course.
Kirby's Dream Course. That was, if I'm correct, wasn't that the first release of Kirby in the 16-bit world? Isn't that his first Super Nintendo release? I believe was Dream Course.
I don't know. I know there were 4 games.
I think that was I think that was the first one. I think the first release for Super Nintendo was Dream Course.
I mean, it came out on February 1st, 1995. I think there was a Kirby game.
Was there?
Because so.
What was it? Because Kirby's Dream Land 3 came out in like 97 after the 64 had already launched. Like it was that was the final release of Nintendo for the Super Nintendo was Kirby's Dream Land 3, which I have.
Superstar was 96,
which I have on the yeah. So this was what was it? What did you say? This was 97.
Yep, Kirby's Dream Course was the first one.
I was right. So I did more research than you. No, I'm kidding.
It's okay.
But yeah, Kirby's Dream Course was the first release. Was Kirby's first foray into the 16-bit world. I remember getting it. I got it on Wii, and I think I got it on Wii U also, like Virtual Console. And I remember trying to play it when it came out, and it basically ended up me just watching YouTube videos of people playing it and trying to repeat that. And even doing that, it was difficult. It's an incredibly difficult game, but an interesting idea.
Right. So yeah, this game, when I saw the commercials for it and stuff back in the day, I wanted to play it, and I knew I liked Kirby because I played him on the Game Boy. One of the first Game Boy games I ever beat. I think I beat Mario Land first, and then I think Kirby was the second one I beat.
Yeah. Well, Kirby, I guess Kirby was originally made for younger gamers. Like they were supposed to be an easy game. That's like why the first one was so easy, and then it just kind of spawned more stuff from there. But yeah, I think that was also one of the first games I beat as well. And I think that's why I liked that first one. It was pretty easy, and you could fly over most of the levels, which I guess some people didn't like, but I was fine with it.
I think it was supposed to be easy and fun at the same time. So if you played it not flying over the whole level, you could still power through it. You could probably pretty much just run through it like Dino Wars and grab power-ups as you go.
Sure. I think it's a little bit better than Dino Wars, but
it's a little bit better, but still, they're similar.
Yeah, they are similar.
Because I'm proving a point.
I understand.
But not really. But not really. But Kirby's Dream Course looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. So I did rent this game when it first came out, and like you were saying, I didn't have YouTube videos, but I played several levels into it, but it just got really hard and frustrating, and you couldn't go you couldn't go back a shot, you couldn't take back a shot, which is okay, but that still would have been cool if there was some sort of save state functionality. I mean, a lot of golf games have that where you can save at any time.
Yeah, well, on the Wii U, you can. Yeah, well, I mean that really helps for golf games.
Like, and yes, you could do this on the Wii U. It is available on Virtual Console, so you could use save state on that. But even I remember even like the aiming on it was pretty rough. Like the way that you would aim your shots, or like how the power and the way and like the straightness of it. Like I remember that being confusing too, to a point. Well, the game is an isometric perspective, so think Mario RPG, which came out that same year in North America, but more convoluted because there was they try to create slope with the sprites that you were seeing. So within the course, you would have like a sloped platform you were moving toward, and then it would create its own physics once you were on it, where you had to and it just added a lot of extra depth to it and realism at the time, they would have said, but it made it really hard to curve around the edges of the course and stuff.
Yeah, I think didn't they use some of the invisible walls too, to a point, to where because it was like a section of a hole and it would bounce up and hit the whatever the fake wall and then come back down. I remember that being worked into some of the holes too.
Yeah, this game had a lot of obstacles because you had a lot of power-ups, so it was balanced well in that sense. Kirby can get some pretty cool abilities. He can pick up the ability to turn into a tornado, and then he can move wherever he wants to go. You also gain the game works slightly differently because you start with your tomatoes. You have tomatoes as your power bar, and every time you destroy an enemy, you get an extra tomato. But if you don't make it to the hole, that takes away a tomato.
Yeah, so it's kind of like your shots, right?
Right, so you have a finite amount of shots per hole, and you want to get the minimum amount. But in the meantime, you can collect power-ups for the enemies you hit. And this is kind of where the game's balance kind of works in your favor because, like I mentioned, there was the ability with the tornado where you can move wherever you want to. So that makes it a little easier, but you don't always have those power-ups available to you.
Yeah,
but you have to make it. You have to make it to the hole before you run out of tomatoes. That's this game.
And they carry over, right? Do they carry over to the next hole? I don't remember the tomatoes.
As far as I don't know.
I thought they did. Like, because you could really screw yourself over if you used a lot of them, like in the first course. So I felt like, because I remember when I was playing it, like you had to be pretty precise, like for each one to get through like the entire course or like the entire, however many holes. I think they carry over.
Yeah, I think so. From what I'm reading.
And I remember there was like a hang glider type power up that you get too, right? Where you could jump up and then glide down. I only made it through like the first couple stages or collection of stages on that.
Yeah, this game had that power up in it as well. So I was going to mention, I was surprised about this. A lot of early Super Nintendo literature that you would get a hold of, like as far as like pack-in advertisements and stuff in your games, it would show screenshots of this game, and it was called Special T-Shot. This was a game that was originally released in Japan on the Satellaview add-on, which was the
Satellaview, yeah.
Satellaview, yeah, where you could download games essentially. It was
you could only
on the internet.
Yeah, and you could only play it at certain times, pretty much. Because they were like broadcasts that were at specific times, like and you can only play it during those times. I think we talked about this a little bit in our Fire Emblem episode because they had a Satellaview game for that also.
But apparently the developers decided, wait, it really makes sense to put Kirby in this, the way this game's working. So they were halfway through developing it, the Kirby elements. So that was the version we got, the Kirby Stream Course.
Was it originally supposed to be a weird ass golf game before they put him in there?
Yeah, so I'll read you the little advertisement blurb. When you would have had that poster or the catalog that would have a bunch of like pages dedicated to individual games. So this was called Special Tee Shot originally, and the description is: blast the ball off the tee to clink and clink as it bounces off of wacky obstacles on a sky-high, high-tech golf course of the future. The Super NES accurately plots the path of your shot for the most realistic and fun feel in a golf game yet. But the screenshot looks like Kirby's Dream Course. It's got weird, like, translucent cones that you're trying to avoid.
Oh, sure.
It's set up like the grid, the isometric grid.
Well, you still get to play through the wacky obstacles and all that. It's just... Yeah, I wonder, you probably didn't find anything about, like, how much that sold or anything like that, did you? Like, I wonder how successful Kirby's Dream Course was. I mean, they didn't make any more, but it's just that's kind of an odd game in itself for Super Nintendo. If we had an obscure Super Nintendo, game episode, I would put that in there. I'm just wondering how well it performed, like, for that time. I guess
I don't know how well it sold, but it was reviewed. I'd say it was like a B as far as how it was reviewed by different sites at the time and publications. GamePro said that it did for golf what NBA Jam did for basketball. So there's
really?
There's one quote.
Oh, wow.
They said it was a wildly amusing game.
Well, I don't think it was as playable as NBA Jam, but...
I don't either. It wasn't something you could... It had a two-player mode, and the two-player mode was a little more fun to play because you would gain extra tomatoes by being the first one to make it to the hole.
Oh, sure. So then you got kind of an advantage for beating the other player.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about the time that it came out, though, like how many really good like Super Nintendo golf games were there really like at that time? Like I remember my dad had a couple of like the PGA Tour games, which were like so, but there's really not like a Mario Golf Super Nintendo game at all. Like there was one on NES that was kind of that came out after the regular golf game, but it was still kind of like Wild West at that time for golf games. So I guess it was reviewed well at the time because there wasn't a whole lot to compare it to.
Well, judging by this little blurb that I just read, they were trying to tout the graphical or the processing ability of the Super Nintendo to create like a realistic but fun. So like the physics are accurate. It's still a wacky environment you could only find in a video game. So that was the sweet spot they were going.
Sure. I I don't know if the physics are all that accurate, but
No,
I guess for that, yeah.
This was, when it was special T-Shot. Before they were just like, fuck it, let's just put Kirby in here, and it makes more sense that he gets abilities, and it makes sense, and it does. It really does make sense when you play it. It makes sense in the Kirby universe why he's going around, and I mean he's a ball. He rolls around. It makes sense that he's a golf ball.
Well, yeah, it's like he can be a pinball, he can be a golf ball, he can be whatever ball you want him to be.
He's like Samus when she crouches.
Yeah. Do you know, did Sakurai work on that at all? The original creator of Kirby, was he on the credits for that? Did you look at any of the developers?
I mean, it says it was developed by HAL and Nintendo together. Let me see. Sakurai is listed in this. Miyamoto and Iwata both are.
Yeah, as producers.
Yeah, Sakurai is not here.
I was just curious because he's he's the Sakurai, the Smash Brothers dude. That was like his claim to fame was Kirby originally was creating that character, which for like I said for specifically an easier game. Which I was trying to figure out where Kirby's name came from, like just for the fun of it, because he was originally called Popopo in Japan, and he was just a white circle with a smiley face originally before they added hands and feet. But supposedly people think that it either came from John Kirby, which was their lawyer who helped them win that case against Universal involving King Kong and all that, or the vacuum cleaner, which was called Kirby. Which
vacuum cleaner makes a lot of sense.
Either ones are viable ideas, but apparently they sent a copy of Kirby's Adventure to John Kirby after it came out for NES, and he got a kick out of it. Just a little side Kirby trivia there.
Then he sucked it up in a vacuum.
He did. He sucked it up in his Kirby vacuum cleaner.
I mean, what else would you do?
Do you know how many sets of courses are in that game? Like how many? What is it? Like 8 or 9? Total?
I'll tell you. It's got 8 single player courses. Each of them have 8 holes.
Oh, okay. And there's
no
secrets.
You can unlock alternate versions of the courses by completing the courses really well.
Oh yeah.
It says there's 4 2-player courses with 8 holes each, so I don't know if those are unique to that mode. They probably are.
Sure.
So it looks like there's quite a few levels, at least 72. Looks like.
I'm just curious because most Kirby games have extra stuff.
This doesn't say that you unlock any additional modes, which I don't remember ever doing when I played it originally.
Well, there's extra. Yeah. There's extra courses that you get for getting gold medals and everything.
Right, but they're the same courses. They're just slightly altered.
Yeah, they're probably harder versions.
Right. So it's not truly new courses. It's just harder. So it's
sure.
But still, that's something that you can unlock. This does offer some replayability if you want to play all the way through it, and you can get it on the Virtual Console.
You can.
If you had it on the Wii Virtual Console, you can get a discount. On the Wii U.
I think I did buy it again. I don't remember though, because when I was playing Rainbow Curse, I was having so much fun with that game that I was kind of had a Kirby moment, and that's when I bought Kirby's Dream Land 3 for Wii U, and I think I bought the Dream Course also. I don't remember though. I probably got Superstar also.
I actually got a Dream Course through Club Nintendo for free.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I have that, and then I bought it. I think I paid it 1 or 2. I can't remember what it is for a Super Nintendo game to put it on my Wii U. So I've paid a little bit of money for it, but
sure,
it was mostly swag.
Yeah, well, there you go. Not bad at all. Well, do you think we've covered the Dream Course enough? I mean, there's not a whole lot to it, but it's still an interesting game in the library of Kirby games.
And obviously, I need to play it a little more myself to truly appreciate it. Because the more I read about it, the more I wanted to play more. It's a hard game. If you want to play this game with save states, cool, but doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of playing mini golf?
I guess, but it makes it a lot more manageable. Like I said, I got really good on Mario Golf on Game Boy Color from playing it on 3DS with save states, because you can save on every hole and just make sure you hit that. It just makes it a lot more doable to beat the tournaments, I think.
You can do that on Mario Golf Advance as well, but without save states. You just quit the course, and then when you restart, you start at the beginning.
Yeah, you'll start at the beginning of the hole, but if you use the save states, you can go down to the stroke, to the actual stroke.
Oh, that's true.
You could do that with all the Mario Golfs. You could do it with the 64 one and the Advance one, and pretty much any of the ones that had saving in them.
Yeah, I think that's enough of Kirby
all right.
Streamers.
We'll move on then. I ordered Kirby's Mass Attack last week just because I heard it had a cool extra mode involving RPG elements and it had a great battle system. So I kind of bought it like on that alone. Plus I found it for like $9 on eBay, no shipping. So, and I got it in a couple days. It was shipped pretty quick. But that's an interesting game for what it is. And I didn't really look at any of the reviews or anything. I just from listening to the HAL Laboratory episode of Retronauts, they talked about the RPG stuff for it, and it's like I like RPGs, so I should try playing that one. And I thought about for picking Kirby games, I was like I should pick games that I haven't really played or ones that I don't really know, and then just try them out. So I tried out Mass Attack, and it's pretty cool. It reminds me a little bit of like Lemmings, if you remember that game, which I used to play Lemmings on one of my friends from high school's Game Gear.
Yeah, that game was on Super Nintendo as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the first time I played it was on Game Gear. But yeah, it's basically, it reminds me a lot of Rainbow Curse or Canvas Curse because the game's controlled entirely with the stylus. So it's kind of like that. Like you basically, the story is that like, Kirby gets attacked by some like, I didn't write down what they were called. These like skull beings. I forget what the names of the bad guys were. But these skull things, he gets attacked. He gets like torn apart into like multiple Kirbys. And then, like, there's only one that lives. So he has to, like, rebuild himself pretty much. So you basically, once you get to, like, 100 fruit, you get another Kirby. And, like, you can get 10 total, and there's secrets that you can only open with 10 Kirby. And by tapping on the screen of the bottom screen of the DS, they follow wherever you touch, kind of like the Legend of Zelda games did. And if you like tap twice, they go quicker. Or if you like hold on the Kirby, they'll become a ball and you can draw where they're going. That's where it kind of gets like Canvas Curse. And there's just a bunch of puzzles based around that play mechanic. And it's really fun. Like there's no copy abilities in there, but I like the idea of the little Kirbys. And it's cool from what I played of it.
This game's not on Virtual Console.
I don't think so. I mean, if it was, I would have got it on there, but I don't think it's been re-released.
This game is entirely touch-based. So, is there a lot of tapping, a lot of swiping? How would you describe the gameplay?
It's a little bit of both. Because, like I said, you hold the stylus on whatever part of the screen that you want the Kirbys to walk to, and you also there's a couple things you can do. You basically tap on the screen, they'll follow that. You can hold it on the Kirbys and draw a line, and they'll follow the line. Or you can touch one of the Kirbys and flick it, and you'll throw the Kirby. That's the basics of the controls there, of those three things. Or you can tap an enemy and they'll attack the enemy, like that type of thing. So yeah, so there's swiping, tapping, and holding and drawing are basically what you do on there. But it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of cool extra games, which is what drew me to it originally. There's an RPG mode on there called Kirby Quest, where you basically there's like a meter that goes up and down, and you want to hit the meter at a certain point, like and that'll be like how high your attack is against whatever guy you're fighting. But when you get enough experience points, you level up and you get another Kirby. So like it'll like go through that, and then you'll get more and more Kirbys, and they'll all do different attacks depending on what level you push the meter at. But it's a cool idea. I kind of wish they would have done a whole RPG like that. But then I would guess they would have to write like a story around it and all that. But I'm surprised with all the like little bits of RPG stuff they've done in Kirby, I'm surprised they actually just haven't like just full out done one. It'd be cool to do a Kirby RPG.
I mean, I think he lends himself well to the RPG front.
He has enough powers that you could actually make it into like magical stuff. He'd do a lot better than Sonic. Like Sonic had an RPG. It's like his games just don't really work for that. Like a character that runs fast isn't going to work for a slow-paced, like, strategy type game like RPGs.
And we've known since the first Kirby that at any given point he can be multiple Kirbys. So there could be 3 Kirbys in a party with the abilities.
Oh, sure. Well, then you could use like Waddle Dee or like the Copy Friends or whatever. Like there's other stuff you could put in there.
Wheelie.
Yeah, but this came out August 4th, 2011, so it's not that old. It's like it's about 5 years old. The developers had a Masanobu Yamamoto, who worked on Epic Yarn, was on there. And Mari Shirakawa was the director. He worked on the Kirby Super Star version of Ultra, the one on DS. He did that, and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and Canvas Curse and Picross 3D. So I guess you can kind of see why there's some Canvas Curse stuff that kind of feels like that in there. I guess why that was I don't know. Canvas Curse was like one of the. I remember that being like one of my first like games that I really liked on DS. Like, because that was a fairly early release, but that was like I felt like that was the first one that actually was like, okay, I get it. This is why the system's good. It was like kind of my killer app, I guess. I had already gotten it by then, but it was the one that I first thought was really good. So it makes sense.
So how many Kirbys do you have? Like, it's a Mass Attack. That's the maximum Kirbys.
You can get 10. 10 are the most that you can have.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Kirbys.
Yeah.
They should call it Kirby X.
Yeah. You could call it Kirby X, but I like Mass Attack. I thought that was an interesting name. And when you like the animation's really cool on it. Like when you hold the stylus on one side of the DS screen, like the way they walk is they like all kind of crawl over each other, like sort of like a ball, but not like a ball. It's just interesting to see the way they move. Cause like one of them will walk and then the other one will crawl on top of him and then another guy will crawl on top of him and they'll kind of move like that, like as a group. It looks really neat, like just to see like the way they interact, and you know, they'll kind of like freak out when like one gets separated from the other one, and they basically have 3 hits to them. You get hit once by something and they turn blue, and when they're blue, like they'll die if they get hit again. But if they get hit when they're blue, they turn into ghost Kirbys, and you have to fling your other Kirbys at their ghosts, and if you're able to catch them before they leave the screen, you can bring them back to life. So that's kind of an interesting gameplay part of it as well, which I thought was kind of cool. And there's like these pink rings that you can go through. There's like one per level, which will like turn your blue Kirbys back into pink Kirbys. But it's cool. There's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of really interesting stuff on it. Like the soundtrack's really cool. There's a lot of like weird like Japanese stuff with lyrics and all that in there. And the graphics look nice. It's fun. And it's weird thing is like cuz like once you get to like 10, if you're good, like you can keep your 10 the whole time. Like it doesn't like it's not going to take them down like in between levels of each like area, but whenever you go to a next area, they take all your Kirbys away and you got to start from one again. Like they do a little cutscene where these skull guys attack you, like going from one to another and kill 90% of your team, and you have to start over again. But the levels are like the levels have numbers to them. Also, it's like, you know, this one you need 5 Kirbys to get in this one, or this one you need 7 Kirbys to get in this one, and so on and so forth. And there's like rings that you'll beat like a bunch of levels on one ring, and then you'll go into like a one that's closer in, and you know, so forth until you get to the boss. So yeah, it's I mean, I recommend it if you're into playing interesting Kirby games. It's been fun so far for me. I've been enjoying it. And there's these medals that you collect as you go through the game, and the medals are what you use to unlock the extra games, which is where there's like a whack-a-mole type game on there that you can play. That's like I think the first one that you get, and there's like the RPG one. There's like a race. There's a race one where you hit the buttons, where you push these buttons on the screen. Like it's basically like you're on this racetrack, and it says like XO, XY, whatever, and you hit these buttons on the touchscreen, you know, to make you go to that next spot. So you try to like hit it as quick as you can, and it'll like, you know, basically you can get times through that. There's also like a full pinball game on there, which is pretty awesome. There's also like a full like shooting game, like a top-down shooting game, also in there that you can use with the stylus. So there's like a ton of like extra cool shit that's on there that's like its own game. Like, cause the shooter one I think has like 5 or 6 levels to it, and so does the pinball game. Like there's bosses and stuff in there, so it feels like a fully fledged game, which is really cool. It kind of
I always love when you can get like a whole new game within a game.
Yeah, it reminded me, like I said, which we'll talk about after this, but it reminded me of Kirby's Super Star. You know, because it's like, you know, 8 games in one. It's kind of like that, except it has like maybe 10 or 12, I think, total. But, you know, and I guess that kind of became like sort of a reoccurring thing with Kirby, right? Like for certain games, like I think the good ones like are the ones that have like all that extra stuff to do on there, which is
cool.
Because
the gameplay tends to be easy, but if you feel like you're earning something, then you still want to play.
Well, yeah, it gets harder if you want to like go back and find all the medals. It makes it a lot more difficult. Like if you want to go through and try to find everything, and that's what gets you the extra side games for the game. So. And then I think there's like a music player that you can do where like the Kirbys like rock out and play guitars and stuff like that while you're listening to it, which is always good to have. But yeah, it's fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't able to beat it yet, but I played through like the first 2 level sets. There's a lot of levels per like set, and I think there's only like 4 areas total. There might be a secret 5th one, but I haven't gotten that far. But there's like at least like 10 plus levels like per area. So there's plenty of stuff to do on there. I think.
What did you say you paid for this? $9?
$9. $9 on eBay. Free shipping. Yeah, didn't even have
I
to.
hope you gave your seller 5 stars.
Oh yeah, I haven't wrote. Well, I don't know. The case that it came in was a little chewed. It had like some dog teeth marks on it, so I might have to give it a 4. No, it's fine. It's fine. The game works fine. But the case that it came in was a little chewed, which is weird. Looked like a dog had eaten it, and there's no booklet. But I don't know. It was one that was on my radar for a bit, and I was like, let's see how cheap I can get this for. And it was kind of like
in the description, did it say this was chewed on?
I don't think it did. I mean, there were pictures of it, but I didn't see the teeth marks on there. But I'm not gonna. It's fine. I got the game. The game works. I'm not gonna throw a fit about it. But yeah, I think that's good on that one. Right. Let's move on. Move on to Kirby Superstar.
All right.
Go for it.
So recently I started playing Kirby Super Star again. You can download this game on the Wii U Virtual Console for $10.
It's good. I think it's 8. So Super Nintendo's games are 8 and 64
you're right.
games are 10.
Yeah, it's $8.
It's worth it though. I believe that you were the one who introduced me to this game, right? I think the first time I played this was with you, or I think I got it because you told me to get it because I never played it before. Like before we hung out, I think I remember that because I remember playing it at the Columbia dorms in like 2002 or I think it was 2002, like the summer of 2002.
Yeah, this game came out really late in the Super Nintendo life cycle. It was September 20th, 1996. So the Super Nintendo life cycle. The 64 came out, 2 months later?
64 was either like 96 or 97.
It was 96.
I think it was 96, right? End of 96. Yeah. Or it came out in like October or something like that. But it was close to, it was holiday time.
So we didn't have the 64 yet. I think we got this like early 97 probably. But man, this was like, I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a Kirby game. We rented it first. I was like, it's going to be another easy Kirby game. And it's easy, but there's a lot of shit in this game. Like, there's all kinds of stuff to do in this. Like you were talking about Mass Attack, like you unlock more games by playing through, the earlier games. And what I thought was really cool about this game is that the first game's called Spring Breeze, and it's the first Kirby game on Game Boy.
Yeah, I remember that. They basically put it on there, but they combined it a couple of levels and took out some bosses, so made it a little bit quicker.
It's a lot quicker, and you can copy ability, so you couldn't do that in the original Kirby, and that makes it even more easier. So it's pretty fun. Like you play through Spring Breeze, and you're like, "Damn it, this is easy," but it does ramp up in difficulty after that.
It's breezy.
I think, they gave it an appropriate name, Spring Breeze. Gets you acclimated to the Kirby games. If you've never played one, you can move on to the other ones.
Yeah, sure.
So there are 8 games in this, but 2 of them are more mini games, I would say. I don't know if I would say so.
Yeah, I remember, there's Spring Breeze, and then there's like the regular Kirby Superstar game. And I remember there's like a arena type thing, right? Where you have to like hit a button and hit the guy. I remember that mode.
Well, there's the, I think you're thinking of the quick draw mode where it's called, what is it?
Yeah, what are the different extras on there? Because I know there's like I remember there's one that's like very much like All-Star mode on Smash Brothers and has like the exact same music and has like an in-between mode where you can collect like trophies and like get some of your life back with hearts. Like I remember that because I had already played.
That was the arena.
That's the arena mode. Yeah, because
I'd already pretty much a boss rush mode.
Yeah, I'd already played Smash Brothers before that game, and then I saw that and I was like, oh my god, this is like the exact same as Smash Brothers except before Smash Brothers. It was just interesting. It just felt weird, because I hadn't played it before. But it has, so I'm sure Sakurai was involved with that one too, right? I think he worked on Superstar. It would make sense.
He was actually the director of this game.
That would make sense.
It was produced by Iwata and Miyamoto. But yeah, he was in charge of this one. This game was later re-released on several different systems. It was on the Wii, Virtual Console. I think you could buy a physical copy of it on the Wii. And then also on the DS is Kirby Superstar Ultra.
No, there was the one for the Wii. There was like a Kirby. Was it 20 anniversary, 25 anniversary? There was like a disc that had a bunch of games on it that you could buy for Wii, and I think that was what it was on. like the Kirby Super Star, I believe, right?
Okay, that was the physical release. Yeah,
yeah, because like 64 was on there, and I think like I don't know, it was basically like the Mario thing that they did, except it was an actual like different game and not just a re-release of like Mario All Stars, which I thought was total jip. But yeah, that'd be interesting to get. I'm sure that one's pretty rare, but that'd be something I wouldn't mind getting. It's like the Wii disc of the Kirby 20 whatever anniversary one, because it actually has like some extra artwork and like a thing where you can switch like from game to game. But that would be cool. But yeah.
But I played through this recently, starting with Spring Breeze. I just played through it sequentially. Spring Breeze, I breezed through it, of course. And then I moved on to Dinah Blade. Dinah Blade just kind of feels like one world in a game.
Oh yeah, Dinah Blade. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
one.
It doesn't really feel like a full game. You're just going after one boss, which is the Dinah Blade boss. So you can get through this one pretty quickly. It's probably about the same length as Spring Breeze.
Is Dinah Blade the one though where you can't like where you can't like copy abilities and you have to like collect them and change them at different times?
No, that's not Dinah Blade.
Which level?
Dinah Blade is that's Milky Way Wishes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Dinah Blade is kind of a more aggressive version of Spring Breeze, I guess is a good way to put it.
Sure.
But it's a little harder, but it's just about as short. And then you unlock Gourmet Race, which is you're just racing King DDD and trying to eat as much fruit as you can as you're running, avoiding obstacles.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
I would think this is more of a mini game. I don't know if I would consider it full. But the Great Cave Offensive, I've never truly beaten this game.
Yeah, that one's really big.
It's actually a collectathon. It's a true collectathon where there's a maximum score you can get in the game by collecting every item. And there's a lot of Easter eggs referencing, like, there's a Triforce you can collect. I think you can collect a Metroid.
Yeah, you can find Samus also. There's a Samus statue, and I think, is Rob in that one, or is Rob in, I think Rob is in Dreamland 3.
No, but you can get Mr. Saturn.
Yeah, but there's different like trophies and stuff that you can find of other Nintendo games, and there's references to that and a whole level of that in Smash Brothers on Wii U, the Great Cave Defensive. It's like the most giant level on that where you can't see anything. But there's like some of the event levels are like that too, where you have to collect a bunch of shit, like reminiscent of that game.
Yeah, I've gotten all the way through it, but I've never gotten the maximum score, which is, hold on, let me see if I can. 9,999,990. You have to get all 60 treasure chests.
Oh wow! Yeah, there's a level like that on Smash Brothers for Wii U where you have to get all the treasure chests, and it's incredibly annoying. So you haven't fully 100%ed Superstar?
Well, no, I've gotten pretty far into it. I got to Revenge of MetaKnight. I beat that. Revenge of MetaKnight is really cool. I love this game. Presentation is what shines here. So it's like any other Kirby game, but as you're moving from level to level, you see narration from the enemies and stuff like, oh no, Kirby is here now. What are we going to do? Well, unleash these enemies on him. Like, so you've got Meta Knight the whole time is like talking to his minions and being like, oh crap, Kirby got to this part of the ship. Like, make sure he doesn't get to this thing. And then like they might be like, well, I hope he doesn't reflect the laser back at him. No, don't say that aloud. He might hear you, So you're getting like little clues the whole time. It's like an overall narration as you run along. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, sure.
And at one point, I really like it. Like, you beat a boss and they're like, the wheelies are all set free. Like all the wheel.
Oh, yeah, the wheelies.
The guys start rolling all over the place. Like you just set a bunch of wild animals.
Sure.
But yeah, that one's a lot of fun because, it's a little harder, even a step up from Dinah Blade. It's still pretty short, but it's divided up into levels. And there's like even a world map sort of that you move through that looks kind of like one level from Mario 3. It's just like one level with like.
Oh yeah. It has the world and the stars and all that. Yeah, I saw that. And also like even the final level kind of has like the shadow flying around it, like reminiscent of like Bowser and his clown car from Super Mario World.
Yeah, so I didn't start Milky Way Wishes yet, but I have played through it before, and I do remember this was Milky Way Wishes, which I haven't even covered it yet. But one thing about this game that was really cool was that you could have a second player.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that.
You could either have a second player that was controlled by your brother, in my case, or someone else that isn't your brother. But when you're playing one player, you can make a copy of yourself. So what you do is you take your ability that you've swallowed and made it. You've taken on the ability and then you press the X button and you create a copy, and that character follows you around and attacks with you. He has his own life meter and stuff. If you have 2 players, that's where it's really fun because they get to be, the copy is not Kirby with the ability, it's the enemy. So, as a second player, it was a lot of fun to be the second player because you could be the fire guy, you could be the plasma guy. The plasma guy was the coolest. He's like this green dude that kind of looks like he's made of lightning and gas. And he doesn't even walk, he just floats around.
That's cool.
He shoots out these plasma bolts and stuff. He was like, playing 2-player in this mode especially is a lot of fun because you don't have to keep collecting abilities. Once you get an ability, you keep it, so you can create your own second player at any point in time. So as a second player jumping into the game, that's the best person to be in Milky Way Wishes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because you get to be all the different enemies.
And you can just jump, and you can just jump in and out really easily too. For the second player, right? The computer will play it if you don't have another person. But if you have another person, it's just easy. It's a whole pop in, pop out. Before it was actually made, they kind of created that to a point.
Yep,
which is really cool.
And there were some little tricks. I remember my brother and I beat the final boss by I was the rock, or one of us was the stone character, and so the player 1 would be the stone. And he would just be invulnerable while he was a stone, and then the other player would do all the fighting. And once the other player started to die, player 1 turns him into an item, collects him, and then makes him again. He gets all of his energy back, and you turn back into a stone again.
Yeah,
So there were little cheats that you could figure out if you had to.
Yeah, I think that stone one was one of my favorite ones. Of the power-ups. And I like the suplex one also, because there was all these different wrestling moves you could do.
Yeah, all the different abilities had button combinations and stuff, and if you press start...
Similar to Smash Brothers also, with up and Y or down and Y, or directions and stuff. But yeah, everything had a different moveset, which is insane. And there's 10 plus however many different abilities, and they all have their own different things. Which is really
and the
cool.
ground pound is in there, and in several different abilities you can do, the down attack. Everybody loves the down attack, and that's crucial to Smash Brothers. But it's been in a lot of games.
Well, previous, yeah. Wasn't there a whole side game that you could play where you could down attack the world or something like that, or you'd crack it? You know what I'm talking about? I thought there was a side thing like that where you would ground pound and they're put a crack in the earth.
That was a Megaton Punch.
Yeah, Megaton Punch. I knew there was something in there. Yeah, I mostly remember the extras, like the RPG one, which I don't know if you got to that one yet, or I know you've played it, but where when you beat it, you get all that extra, you get experience, and then you get all these other things. You get knowledge and enlightenment and all this funny stuff that they say you get. That was what I remembered most of Super Star, was the RPG stuff. But I mean, the whole thing's great. But
yeah, I remember just being able to jump into the 2-player mode for Samurai Kirby, and that's all you do is you hit the button as soon as the exclamation point appears on the screen.
Oh yeah, that was fun too. Yeah, the quick draw game. I remember playing that.
Yeah, Megaton Punch is fun. One thing about that game, all it is timing to get your meters to the right spot. But if the other player gets their meters done quicker, it'll interrupt everything to show their attack, and then it goes back to you. That might throw you off a little bit in your timing, because they did it first. So that's a cool little strategy. Something else I wanted to mention earlier, because I mentioned it in the intro, was that if you're playing with either a second player or a copy, which is computer controlled in any of the modes, if you as the first player collect a health regenerating thing, the other player runs up to you and it kind of looks like you spit food in their mouth. That's what I always thought it looked like.
I always thought it looked like they
kind of makes
hugged.
a kissy sound. It makes a weird kissy sound.
Yeah, it goes bring, or something like that. I always thought they hugged or they kissed or something, because they kind of come together, and then there's the transfer of the energy. I remember that. It
really looks like you're baby birding your friend.
Yeah, you're
That's what I always...
Well, it makes sense with Kirby, since she's eating things, and maybe he can spew it back into your whatever in star form, right? Because he spits everything out as a star. Could be.
In star form is fine. Chewed up gruel mixed with saliva, not so much.
I don't know if it's one crazy thing, different game, but Kirby Streamland 3. That was where that Super Smash came from. which, speaking of weird things that Kirby does, he that's where he puts everybody in a stew and cooks them and makes them into food and feeds his partners with it, with their food. Which is pretty creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in this. That's
Does he do it in that too?
Yeah, and you will fight the cook as a boss. I think the first time I fought him was in Dinah Blade, and yeah, you get that power, and then you just throw all the enemies on the screen into a pot, and they turn into power-up items or food items.
Yeah.
Health regeneration.
Yeah, so you're basically cooking them and then eating them. I mean, you're eating them anyway, but now you're cooking and eating them. I don't know. Kirby's a crazy dude.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool abilities in this. I really love the wheelie, which I mentioned earlier. You turn into pretty much a motorcycle, unicycle character guy.
Aren't there races in that game also involving wheelie?
Right. So if you're playing 2-player mode, you can ride. If the second player is the wheel, you can ride. Kirby can ride him. And that's pretty fun too.
I thought there was a side game also where you use the wheel and you have to race somebody else. Maybe that's in another game.
Well, there is at the end of Revenge of MetaKnight, you have to escape the ship on the motorcycle like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then maybe that's what I was thinking about.
And he's chasing you, trying to shoot you the whole time.
And Kirby Superstar has an opening sort of reminiscent of Super Mario RPG, right? With that same sort of graphics that I thought was similar to Donkey Kong, which we talked about in our Mario RPG episode. But it was kind of that time when a lot of games were doing that. I remember seeing that from that. But yeah, Superstar is probably. I mean, I think that's probably my favorite Kirby game. I don't know. I think it's very good.
I do too. I mean, I played it I put probably an hour and a half, 2 hours into it just since I downloaded it 2 days ago. It's fun.
But you played through all of it before. I mean, like I said, you introduced me to it. And I thought it was incredible. I didn't realize it had all that shit in there, but I didn't really know. I knew nothing of Kirby other than the Game Boy game. So when I played I remember I played Kirby's Adventure later, the NES one on Wii. I think I had a friend that had it, but I just saw a little bit of it, which that game's cool too. But
yeah, it's a claw machine. I like claw machine.
Yeah, but Superstar, if I was asked on the spot, what do you think the best Kirby game is? I'd probably say Superstar, for sure. I mean, that's kind of it's like Super Metroid. It's one of those things. It's just kind of yeah. I think that's the correct answer. And there's
I get a hold of a Superstar Ultra on DS. I want to try it out.
Yeah, I wonder what's added.
So much more extra modes.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder what's added on there. Well, you could probably. I mean, you might be able to get it for a couple bucks off eBay. I don't think. I don't think DS games are really rare yet. I don't think it's got to that point where people are trying to recollect those. So it might be a good time to get them now before they start becoming rare.
Looks like it has a lot of extra stuff. So it has a more difficult version of Spring Breeze where you face off against DDD, but he has a mask on, so he's harder. There's a harder version of the MetaKnight. Or no, you actually control MetaKnight through a level through a game based on Spring Breeze, Dinah Blade, the Great Cave Offensive. So it incorporates all the levels for Kirby Super Star into one game.
Oh, and then, that's cool.
There's Helper to Hero, which is kind of like Arena, except you just play as helper characters. And then another version of Arena, which has extra bosses. And then 3 new sub-games. So there's a lot of extra stuff on the DS version. So I think I kind of want to get it. Yeah, I want to check it out and see if it's affordable. But yeah, this game holds a lot of nostalgic value for me, and definitely always a 2-player game. My brother and I were always playing this together when it was on.
Did you own this when it came out?
Oh yeah, we bought it. The Super Nintendo. Like I said, we didn't have the 64, so this is what we got instead.
Oh sure, it's good though. I mean, it's definitely.
Oh, it's great, and it was a wonderful 2-player game. My brother and I played the shit out of it.
Cool. Do you think we covered that one enough?
I think so.
Move on. Yeah, it's not selling for too much. I just looked on eBay real quick. You can get it. There's one for $11, $9, $2.50 shipping. But there's other ones too. That's one with the full case. Yeah, you could probably get a hold of it.
I always like to when I eBay search, I like to look for where it's shipping from. So I can get it faster.
Yeah,
sometimes I'll pay $1 or $2 extra just so I can get it faster.
I remember when you used to look for stuff that was misspelled because it was cheaper. Try to find
that doesn't work anymore.
Misspelled Virtual Boys and all that. Yeah, I don't think that works anywhere. But I remember, when you used to do that, you said you could find stuff for cheaper. Yep. Nobody could find it.
I used to find cool stuff that way, but they fixed autocorrect is part of everything.
Sure, yeah. All right, well then we'll move on to our final game of Kirby then. All right, so we're back. So when I went to that video game expo way back when in Milwaukee, there was a game that I was looking for called Kirby's Air Ride, which I remember not getting reviewed very well when it came out, but people seem to love it now. Like a lot of I mean, it has like a lot of a cult following, I guess, from what I heard. Like a lot of people still consider it to be great, and I've never played it before, so I tracked it down, paid $30 for it. Maybe some people thought that was too much. Whatever, I was fine with it. I was like, I won't pay any more than $30. But it was like I had never seen it before anywhere, so it was I was fine with paying that much for it because it's a fairly rare game. And I played it a little bit when I first picked it up, and I just kind of didn't really know what to do on it. It doesn't really. It's like very different than most racing games. There's no Grand Prix in there. There's no like set of levels. It's just basically like everything's laid out there for you, and it's set up very much like Smash Brothers. Like there's 3 different modes to start off with. There's like there's the racing mode. There's a top-down racing mode like in the way of like Super RC Pro-Am, kind of feels like that. And there's also the city trial, which is a whole nother thing. But I remember reading the review on IGN, which I think was by Matt Casamassina. I'm not sure though. I looked up the review and it didn't say like who wrote it anymore. But they gave it a 5.2 out of 10.
Wow.
Basically giving it a lot of shit for making it overly simplistic and claiming that the controls don't work and that there's no depth to the game. Which I would disagree with them on that. I think there is a lot of depth to the game. It's just you got to look pretty hard to find it. Like I even like watched videos showing like how people played it, just because when I first started playing it, I wasn't really sure what to do with it. Yeah, in their review, they said, I put this just a quote just so I could say something of what they said. They said, comes recommended as a potential buy to parents who are shopping for their under 9 son or daughter. Maybe that's why everybody likes it now, because so many parents bought it for their kids that are under 9, and now like 13 years later, they're like 22 and doing YouTube videos. So that's why it's come around. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I don't know. I kind of wish I would have got it when it came out. Because
if I remember correctly, wasn't this supposed to be an N64 game originally?
It was supposed to be a 64 game, and it was
it was delayed a lot, wasn't it?
It was actually on the very first Nintendo 64 promo video, which Nintendo Power sent out. It was the very first game that it shows on there. When at the very end, when it says upcoming games, which is crazy. Like I was looking for footage of Kirby's Air Ride on 64, and that was what I found, was that, and I recognized that music, and I'm like, that's from that video. So yeah, it was on there. It looks a lot different. It looked a little bit more like a snowboarding game, which some people think it might have gotten turned into 1080 after that, but that's not really confirmed. But who knows? Yeah, it was delayed, eventually canceled. It didn't really come out until like 2003, which that year was filled with a whole lot of other shit that I played instead of that. I made a list of all the other things that I bought that was not Kirby's Air Ride that year. Tales of Symphonia, Prince of Persia, Harvest Moon, Wonderful Life, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Those were all games that came out that year, so I was kind of a little bit busy with other shit and didn't really look into Kirby's Air Ride. But
which was not reviewed well, and you probably were just like, holy shit, this game never should have happened.
Yeah, it wasn't reviewed well. I remember that it had been canceled before. I just kind of overlooked it. But it's an interesting game to try to come back to and try to figure out, because Sakurai was the director on it, much like Silver Star. That was like his baby. He made it, like I said, he made it very much like Smash Brothers. I guess, and they said that kind of came from some of the inspiration. Like after Smash Brothers Melee was done, they brought some stuff into that, and you can definitely feel it. Like it kind of feels like Smash Brothers in racing form, because there's there's a lot of it seems kind of random, and people can kind of fly off the course and that type of thing. But it's weird. Yeah, you hit the A button to stop and turn, kind of. And that's like you're drifting, but you don't really drift. You like stop, you like come to a stop, and then when you let go, you get a boost. And some of the, and there's different cars that you can unlock through like the city trial mode, which all like stop differently. Like there's a car that like can only turn when it's stopped, which is like the most annoying car to use ever. I found that one. Well, I mean like Kirby's riding a star as your regular first thing. But yeah, there's different versions of that you can get.
I totally thought this was a snowboarding game. I guess I haven't really researched.
It's not a snowboarding game, no. It's basically a racing game where you're in some sort of ship, I guess. You can find MetaKnight's ship. The ship that you get on in Smash Brothers, you know, when you put it together and there's like the target and then it goes through and kills people. You can find that ship that's in there. There's power-ups that you can get, because aside from like, it's context sensitive, which makes it even more annoying, because like when you're next to guys, you can press A and he'll inhale that person, and if they have ability, he'll automatically copy it. So you can get that's how you get abilities to shoot people. So there's like the sword mode. There's like there's that plasma one that you were talking about. That one's in there too, like that you were talking about in the other game in Silver Star or Superstar. You know, the plasma one where you hit like back and forth until it charges and then you shoot a big thing. Yeah, that's in there, and you do the same thing with the joystick. So it's very much like Smash Brothers, where there's a lot of like back and forth on the joystick. You know, hardly to charge whatever and that type of thing. But yeah, it's strange because like basically in order to like beat the game, there's like a checklist, much like Smash Brothers, like the new Smash Brothers on Wii U and the one on 3DS, and even like the Wii one to a point. You know, where like you do something and then that part breaks and then you see like the 4 different parts next to it. That's basically how the game is. Like there's 3 different checklists with 120 different like achievements, I guess, to a point that you need to do in the game. All right, so yeah, there's this checklist on there where you go through and basically do all these different things. And there's 120 for each game, like for the for the race one, and for the top race, and then the other one. And if you get in order to see like the credits and the end of the game, there's 3 different endings based on each of those. So you have to do 120 different like achievements in the game to see the credits for the actual game and see an ending, which is crazy. I didn't even know that because I was trying to figure out who worked on it, and I was like, how do you even find the credits on this thing? I almost had to kind of watch videos to figure out how to play this game, you know, just because it's so bizarre. And I think that's kind of why it got like a different, like such a lower rating, is that people maybe didn't give it enough time, you know, because you kind of do got to play it for a while to get fun out of it. And I was having fun with City Trial. City Trial is basically, you know, did you ever play Smash Run on the Smash Brothers 3DS game that came out, the newest one? Are you familiar with that?
I haven't played the 3DS version.
Well, Smash Run is basically where you go through this level and you get all these different power-ups for your character by fighting whoever, like just finding these different, like, you know, little icons that will like, you know, raise your speed, like make your hits hurt more, like make you faster or whatever. And then in the end, you play they pick some sort of random event that you have to do, and if you win that, you won Smash Run. That's the way it works. That's basically a 2D version of City Trial. City Trial, they just put you in this giant open world, and you drive around and try to find power-ups for your ship. And you can also find different ships inside that world if you want to change ships till the end part. And then you'll get thrown some random game at the very end. And if you win that, you win, you know, City Trial, which I have yet to do just because it works it has like sort of the same downsides as Smash Run, where like you don't know what the game is, so you don't really know what to build up. So like in the end, it's kind of like you have to try to build up everything, but you don't know. I don't know. It kind of works like that. But it's, you know, I found some fun. Like you can do, like after you unlock some of the stadium events from that, you can do them on your own and try to do like achievements with that. And I was having fun with that. Like there's like a drag race one. There's like a battle mode type thing. There's another one where you just like go through and attack guys and try to see how many you can get. But there's fun to be had in there. It's just you kind of just got to go through it and try to find it. I don't know. It's a crazy game. It was produced by Miyamoto and Iwata, of course, and our friend Brill Trennan did the localization on it back then when he was still doing that.
Thank Bill.
But yeah, it's hard to. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily worth like paying $30 if you're not really sure about it, but it's worth a second look for anybody who kind of passed on it because of its bad reviews. Because a lot of people, like I said, like a lot of people love it now. Like if you see like reviews like later, I've seen like 9s and 10s from people, you know, that like absolutely adore it. And it was like one of the few GameCube games that had online play way back when, you know, because you could use the modem for it, and you could also do like LAN play as well. And I think it ended up getting I think because somebody came up with a server to use for the LAN, which they used on Mario Kart Double Dash. I think it used that for a while, and I think it kept going for a good amount of time after the GameCube was done, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy game. I don't know. I'm still not very good at it at all, but it's fun to try to just try to dick around and get some of the achievements in there.
Yeah, I have to try this game out. I remember it, like you were saying, I remember it way back in the day as being a potential 64 game. Kind of lost sight of it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
In my mind's eye, I just see Kirby pretty much on a snowboard.
Yeah, he's riding the star. He's riding the yellow star that you have, but you can get different vehicles. There's probably I don't know. There's a good amount. There's probably at least 10 vehicles, if not more, that you can unlock through City Trial or I don't know. I'm not sure how exactly it works. I just kind of play the modes and then just more stuff starts to show up. But it's weird. I mean, sometime whenever we hang out again, you'll have to try it out. But it's you haven't actually played any local multiplayer, but I think it would have been really fun when it had online and all that. If I would have gotten a modem. Because originally I wanted to buy a modem so I could get play Phantasy Star Online, for the GameCube, but I would have, if I would have played around with Kirby's Air Ride, I would have wanted to use it for that too. It's kind of a shame, after the fact, now you can't really do it anymore. But it would have been cool at the time to do it. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not really. I guess I'm not fully recommending it. But if there's a way that you can try it out cheaper than I guess what it's going for right now, it would be worth it. If they ever get if they ever do a GameCube Virtual Console, which I hope they will for NX. Hopefully we'll see Kirby's Air Ride on there for whatever price. Probably 15 or 20, I'm sure. But it's worth checking out. It's just a bizarre game. It's what you expect from Sakurai. It's almost as weird as Kid Icarus. If you played that game, which that's another game you can get for fairly cheap now. I think I bought mine for $5, used from GameStop. If you want to see another weird Sakurai game that kind of feels like Smash Brothers but isn't. But I think that's all I can really say. About
you mean Uprising?
Yeah, Kid Icarus Uprising. But yeah, that's all I can really say about that. I guess for now. Is there anything you want to know about it that I haven't mentioned? It has a killer soundtrack. We'll play a song at some point on this for it. But it's on the level of Smash Brothers, everything's orchestrated and all that. And you hear songs that are in Smash Brothers as well. So it sounds great. It sounds incredible. It looks really good. It had progressive scan at the time when it came out. It was just, I don't think people really got it. I think it was too weird for them. Maybe it'll get its second coming if they do an HD version or a re-release or some Virtual Console thing or even a sequel. It'd be interesting.
Man, that'd be a long time coming from when it was first announced.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's been our Kirby episode 28. We will we'll be doing E3 coverage next week, probably in a couple days. So we'll try to drop it as soon as the news drops. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I think this is a pretty long one. We'll probably stick a pin in it here. Call it a day.
Well, Kirby sucks, but I mean that's the best way possible.
He sucks on fire in a good way. Yeah.
In a good way. So
Kirby's a good guy. I'd like
to
play
Kirby Super Star at least. I mean, I think that's a great game for anybody.
Yeah, play Super Star, Mass Attack, Robobot if you're looking in to get Super Kirby. But we've been your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson
and Jereme and Trey.
And we will see you next week.
See you soon.